Hey baddies, welcome back to the Baddest You podcast, where every listen takes you to the baddest version of yourself. I am your baddie level up coach, Ambria Hearty, and today I'm going to teach you about you and how you're the most important relationship in your life. Make sure you guys follow me on my Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Ambria Hearty. Follow the Baddest You on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube, and let's get into this week's episode. So you are the most important relationship in your life, meaning that people come and go. Situations will fluctuate. But when it comes to that common denominator, it is you, which means you owe it to yourself to give yourself that sense of importance, that sense of value, and that treatment that you deserve, regardless of who comes into your life or who exits your life. And the first thing you guys should know in relation to this topic is that your happiness comes first. You have to make sure that you're honoring your happiness as a priority, regardless of who you choose to entertain or focus on, regardless of who you choose to give your energy to. Make sure you guys are understanding that your happiness comes first. So if somebody's treatment or circumstances or situations, whatever, if it's not adding to you, if it's not adding to that happiness, if it's not making you, if it's not making you this amazing person that you are and continuing to elevate the amazing individual that you are, then it's not your business, right? It's not for you to focus on, because you have to have that boundary with yourself. I deserve the best, the absolute best out of life. I deserve to be happy. And so you have to make sure that you're honoring yourself and honoring that internal boundary when you're interacting with energies, situations, and things around you. Some people might argue this is a selfish approach, but it's actually kind of necessary, because if you're constantly being selfless, if you're constantly giving, if you're constantly looking past your own needs and people pleasing, this can actually hurt you. This is a huge form of self-sabotage. I used to be the type of person when I was younger where all I did was focus on how other people felt. Like all I did was focus on making sure they were happy. I was like, well, as long as they're happy, I'm happy. But I didn't realize it was actually to the detriment of me, because when I needed certain people in situations where I would sacrifice so much and give up so much of myself for, they wouldn't show up in the same way, that actually harmed me in the long run. And that's why it's so important to make sure that you're honoring yourself and the connections that you choose to entertain and the jobs you choose to have, whatever. Make sure that you're valuing yourself in the things you are choosing to entertain and participate in the world around you. And a great way to do that is just ask yourself, is this making me happy? Is this adding to me? Or is this taking from me, right? Have this deep sense of understanding. I deserve the best and I'm not gonna settle for less. And you can do this by protecting your energy, protecting yourself. You can do that through having standards and boundaries and a certain requirement for how energies around you have to show up for you to even give it your energy. Boundaries and standards, these protect us from less than below bare minimum experiences, situations, low quality experiences, okay? Because when you can say no to a person who they maybe look good on paper, but they make you feel less than, then you're gonna make sure that you have the best experience moving forward. If you can say no to people that may seem, like okay, but like you genuinely do not feel good, you're just like, this does not resonate with my boundaries, this does not resonate with my standards, you're gonna start having a better quality of living. What happens is a lot of times people, they don't have these boundaries with themselves when they're interacting with other people in situations. And because we're such community oriented and community driven individuals, we want to be liked by the pack, we could find ourselves disregarding our own needs, our own wishes, just to be liked or valued by others as a means of trying to stay in control and stay safe. But what if I told you you're most safe in your power? You're most safe when you're protecting yourself. Not in a way where you're avoiding situations or expecting the worst in everybody, but in a way where you're like living life on offense mode, but you're having an understanding that you do deserve the best, and that you can trust yourself enough to know what's good for you and not. You can value yourself enough not to settle for something you don't deserve. You can also keep yourself your top priority. And you doing these things, you're gonna find yourself naturally aligning with the life that you desire and deserve. You trust yourself more. You know that you won't engage in, low bare minimum treatment. Something that happens a lot of times is a lot of people, they can fall in love with somebody and a person can completely switch up later. But if you make sure that your top priority is making yourself happy, then when this person shows up different, right, then you won't take it personal, or you won't feel the need to stay forever or like settle for less. Like you'll make sure that you honor your boundary and your standard. Well, it's not making me happy and my relationship with myself matters most, then I have to let it go. So it's just important, baddies, right, to make sure that you're having these boundaries and these standards. Do not cross your boundaries. Do not lower your standards. Do not settle. Like settling is such an act of low self-worth. And you and I both know you have high self-worth because you're on the Baddest You podcast. So, or you're at least working towards that. So you have to make sure you're honoring yourself. You gotta make sure you're prioritizing you and like your understanding that if something's not matching your standards or boundaries, by default, it just means that it will take from you. It's not going to add to you, and that you're better off being in your own energy, because your relationship with yourself matters most. An excellent way that you can honor your relationship with yourself is by showing up for yourself, right? Going to the gym, doing what you said you would do. These are excellent ways to build that self-love and self-trust. We build self-trust by doing things that we said we would do. When we said we would wake up early, and we wake up early. When we said we go to the gym, and we go to the gym. When we eat healthy and we participate in healthy habits, like these are excellent ways to show up for ourselves. And also your goals, like this could be like career goals, things that you want to achieve and become for yourself in this lifetime. That is such an excellent way to honor that relationship with yourself, by showing up for yourself. Showing up for yourself when you set a boundary, when you said you would, even though you might love a person, or showing up for yourself in a way where you're honoring your relationship with yourself, even in the midst of like feeling like gaslit. Because a lot of times people will try to manipulate you in life, right? Not all the time, but sometimes you'll find yourself feeling like gaslit or manipulated, and you'll owe it to yourself in that moment to listen to your intuition the most, honor your relationship with yourself the most. Like, I truly feel like if you do not have a relationship with yourself, you will not have healthy relationships with other people. And this can be like parental relationships, this could be romantic relationships, this can be like colleague relationships or sibling relationships, friends, whatever. You have to have this baseline understanding of who you are, what you desire in life, and you cannot cross that or settle for under that or ignore that just for the sake of somebody else, because you deserve people who add to you. And if something is like making you cross your boundaries or settle or lower yourself, you just see that as like not meant for you. Right? So you're not desperate. You know you can have whatever it is that you want in life. So you do not have to settle for anything less than you deserve. And so make sure you guys show up for yourselves consistently. Like this, like I said, is going to be an excellent way to help you guys to build that self-love, self-trust. And that all that does is help you guys to attract more love in your life, because the more you love yourselves, the more you guys are to attract more love you guys want into your life. And speaking of love, like when it comes to your relationship with yourself, you owe it to yourself to love yourself unconditionally. Love yourself when you have a great day, love yourself when you have a bad day. Love yourself when you are the most successful, most loved person. And love yourself when you make mistakes and people are not smiling at you in that moment, right? Like you owe it to yourself, especially you owe it to yourself to love yourself unconditionally, like no matter what the circumstance looks like, no matter if you're amazing or you're bad or whatever. You deserve to love yourself unconditionally. You deserve to love your inner child unconditionally. When we feel those moments in our youth where we feel shamed and we feel kind of abused, neglected, not given what we deserve, it's like you owe yourself better than that. So it's like, why would you repeat that same behavior pattern towards yourself if you feel like you're not perfect? Like you don't have to have all the money to love yourself. You don't have to have great grades to love yourself. You don't have to be of value to other people to have value or to love yourself. You just have to make sure that you are constantly giving yourself that love you deserve, regardless. Because no matter what, you deserve love. You deserve love no matter what. If you make mistakes, if you are being the best person on the planet, you don't have to like show up as a specific version of yourself to deserve love. Like you have to make sure that you're honoring yourselves on that day that you do not have a good mental health day, or that day that you are just feeling like, I don't feel like being productive, or I'm not productive. Like your value does not come from productivity. So just make sure you're honoring yourself. Remember, your value is innate, regardless of what you do, regardless of the actions you take. Like you have that value and you owe yourself that love. So just make sure that you're showing up for yourself in ways where you don't stay down there forever. You don't stay in these actions that may not be serving you, or behavior patterns that may be hurting you in the long run. Like just make sure that like you're loving yourself, but also loving yourself into change as well. Like not necessarily condoning settling for showing up in a way that's not serving you, but like just making sure that you're still loving yourself in these moments, but loving yourselves into a better version of yourself at the same time. So just remember, baddies, people, they come and they go. Some people are here for a season, some people are here for a lifetime. But that doesn't mean you lose track of who you are in the process. That doesn't mean that you are finally saved because another person came into your life and you don't have to always be in your own energy anymore. Like that's not what it's about. It's about choosing people who honor your boundaries that you have with yourself, choosing people who honor the love that you have for yourself, choosing people who reflect your relationship that you already have with yourself. So just remember, like you are forever. You are the longest relationship you're ever gonna have. You are the one to impress. You are the prize. Like you are the most important person. And it's just important to make sure you're constantly seeing yourself in that highlight, regardless of the world around you, regardless of other people's energies, situations, opinions, whatever. Like you owe it to yourself to see yourself in that highlight, because like your relationship with yourself is most important. And just remember, baddies, like it's important to constantly be learning about yourself, because you're always going to shift in life. You don't have to be the same person you were yesterday. You don't have to identify as a certain version of yourself. You can be whoever you need to be at any point in time, and you have permission to shift into a new person at any point in time. So make sure you're loving yourself through these changes. Love yourself through that hard time period in life. Love yourself through that great time period in life, right? Like especially you watching right now, baddies, like you guys have been through so much as it is, right? And you brought yourself through those darkest moments and you came out a badder or baddie on the other side. So just make sure like you're constantly honoring that and giving yourself the absolute best and continuously moving forward. And just know you owe it to your inner child to be the best you that you can possibly be. So learn about yourself, take care of yourself, honor yourself. Self-care, right? Like that's not an option. Yeah, you know, like a lot of people barely tap into self-care. Like learn who you are, learn what's important to you, learn what makes you smile, what makes you happy. Get clear on the things that make you you, or make you the you will become. And just make sure that you're staying your top priority. And just most importantly, baddies, make sure that you do not lose yourself in situations and circumstances and connections with other people. You always have to love yourself first and love yourself most, because if you lose yourself in another person, if that person leaves, you're just like, what do I have left? You know? So make sure you're always honoring your relationship with yourself first and foremost. Ask yourself questions like, does this make me happy? How does this make me feel? Is this adding to me? Be intentional, be smart, and be present with yourself as you're going through life, you know? And also try to have like a semi-sober lifestyle as well. You know, you don't want to constantly live life on autopilot or constantly live life in a way where you're just like, go, 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 I gotta accomplish to be successful. No, like be present with yourself. You're worthy exactly as you are. You don't have to do anything to be more valuable. All you have to do is just honor you in the now. So just make sure you understand, baddies, that you are the most important relationship in your life, and to treat yourself as such and honor that in the way you choose to show up and the way you choose to view yourself and in the way that you choose to entertain connections around you. So thank you guys so much for tuning in to this week's episode of The Baddest You. My name is Ambria. I'm your baddie level up coach. Follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Ambria Harty. Follow The Baddest You on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. And I will see you beautiful and amazing baddies later. Bye, guys. Mwah.